Why I Rescue by Jessica Hillman. Well, just to introduce myself, my name is Jessica Hillman. I am in Dallas, Texas currently, and I rescue for Russell Rescue Inc. currently. Well, why I rescue, it's kind of a hard thing to pinpoint. I feel like it's something that I've always done, something that's kind of been innate or learned. My whole life, my family has been involved in some sort of rescue. It was kind of funny, my mom was kind of titled in the neighborhood and in jest by my father as Mother Teresa of the animal kingdom. I grew up, we were rescuing all kinds of wildlife, not through an organization, but just on our own. Whenever we had seen an animal in trouble, we would take it in and care for it and figure out what we could do. Anything from raccoons to chipmunks to squirrels. We've had bats. We've had it all. Beyond that, we would also take care of things like lizards and fish and birds and snakes. Pretty much any animal that could have existed in our neighborhood, we at some point had helped one out or saved it. And then on top of that, we were always bringing in like stray cats or dogs that either family friends or neighbors no longer wanted or could care for. So my whole life, this is just something that I did. And I think I thought that everybody kind of lived like this, that animals were an important part to anybody's life. As I grew older, I got a couple of my first jobs in working with animals, anywhere between like 15 and maybe like 20. I had taken on a couple of jobs. One was working for an animal, like for a veterinary facility as a vet tech in training. Another was working as someone who gave baths to dogs at a grooming facility. And although I really enjoyed my experience at both of those, I wasn't really quite the right fit for me in a career. I wound up actually working in marketing. And it just something that I was able to utilize my skill set to the best that I could, and just really was me, although I was still an animal lover. But in my early career and being an early adult, I didn't have pets of my own because I just didn't have the time or the schedule that allowed for taking care of pets properly. For a while, I was actually for a few years traveling about 100% of the time. Sometimes my contracts would have me on the road for 6 months at a time. There was a short time where I decided when I first moved out on my own that I did want some pets, and I got a dog, and I did foster a Chihuahua through an organization. My parents at that time did have 2 Chihuahuas of their own, and I did wind up moving back home. And when I left to move out again, my dad insisted that I do not take the dogs with me, that they belonged in the house with him, and that was their home now. So after learning, my first experience, it was time to realize that, I needed to wait until I had a house of my own and a stable career to get pets. So it had been quite a while, probably close to 10 years that I didn't have pets at all, despite really wanting them. And I was traveling on my very last contract on the road, a stop in Houston. We had recently relocated to Dallas, and my fiance was visiting me at a hotel because it was within a reasonable distance to travel to. And so at our time staying in that hotel, we noticed a dog in the parking lot running around, seemed to be stray. People at the hotel had delivered like a box for him to sleep in with some blankets. People were coming out and feeding him every night. He had, gotten a lot of friends, but no one was able to take him in. So the poor dog, was in jeopardy of getting hit by a car running around the parking lot, and he was just really emotionally distraught. It broke my heart. And knowing that after all the people that I talked to, no one could help him, I decided that I was not going to be a person that just let this dog just be. I needed to help him. Someone needed to step up, and that was going to be me. So I attempted to get him into rescue organizations and shelters. It turned out that all the shelters were full up, the ones that were not no-kill. I wouldn't even consider sending him to a place that would potentially euthanize him. So that was out. And I did contact Russell Rescue Inc. And at the time, as much as they really wanted to help, they just did not have a foster home available for him. So I decided to do what I could and take him back to, well, actually I made my fiance take him back to Dallas because I still had a couple months of traveling on the road. We didn't have a house yet. We were working on closing on our house, and he was sleeping on couch at some of his friends' houses. So the solution was that we would put him in boarding, get him fixed and all of his shots, and so by the time that our house was ready, he would come and move in with us. And it turned out that he became my fiance's best friend in the world. That's his dog. We named him Marriott after the hotel that we found him in. And we found out, well, I found that this was one of the most personally rewarding experiences that I'd had in probably close to 5 years. The only thing that had come close in the recent years was when I was traveling for a marketing program that worked in the school system for impoverished communities, working with kids that just didn't have any resources for healthy foods and fitness. And so getting to work closely with those kids was a super rewarding experience. And this is the only thing that came close to making me feel that I was doing something to contribute to this world, more than just working for a marketing company and putting dollars in some company's pocket. So I decided I'm going to keep going with that. And I contacted Russell Rescue Inc. and asked if I could be a foster and help anywhere that I could. So I got a couple foster dogs. We got them adopted out. There was one that did come into my house that melted my heart instantaneously. Pee-wee, we named him. He actually really was supposed to just be, a layover stop at my house until he got to his foster home. I was going to transport him down to the Woodlands, but within a day or two of him being in my home, I found out that he was my doggy soulmate and he had to stay. But I'm constantly reminded when I look at Pee-wee's face of the reason why I do this. The day that I picked him up from the shelter was going to be his last day. He was about 30 minutes away from being euthanized, and I got there just in time to save him. And it's pretty much the same story for all of the rescue dogs that I have either transported or fostered. We pulled them out of the shelter the day that they were going to get put down. Some other dogs that we have different stories. They, may have been prevented from going into the shelter. But the reason why I do this is to save a life. And it feels so good knowing that, even if it's just one dog, that I saved him. Every life is valuable. In this society, in America, we treat our dogs like trash, like they're disposable accessories that don't have the same value as humans do. And they do. They have love and feelings, and we need to treat them like an extension of our family, just like we would of our child, and not like something that's disposable. And the reason why I do this is just to do my small part to save a life and do something good for the world. That's why I rescue.